Let's start in a constructive rest pose with the legs bent. We're nicely spaced on the back, arms extended out, and then resting at the sides. Okay, so you could stay in this position for a nice 5 minutes with some slow, deep breathing if you'd like, and then turn the video back on. Okay, if you're ready to move into the peaceful strength routine, let's go now. First thing, let's zip up the core. So we're bringing pubic bone and tailbone towards each other, sit bones towards each other, drawing that point up towards the head. The hip points draw in towards each other and then down towards the sacrum. The low back stays in neutral. Let's hug all the muscles along each vertebrae, low back, mid back, and upper back. This is zipping up the core. So we zip up the core and then we release. And we zip up the core. Let's add a shoulder press, add a head press. So the tops of the shoulders pressing into the floor, head is pressing into the floor. We're just activating all the back muscles. Relax. Let's zip up the core, shoulder press, head press, release the head, release the shoulders, keep the core zipped up, and let's extend right arm and the right leg out. Press the limbs away as if you're pressing the legs starting from the hip, you're pressing the arms starting from the ribs. Press them into the floor. As you engage that whole right side, the back of the body, let's lift the left leg and then lower. Lift and lower. 3 more times. Lift and lower. Okay, so the core, the trunk does not move at all. It's just that left leg. Last time here. When we set the foot down, we'll bring the right limbs in. We keep the core zipped up. Extend the left arm and leg out, lengthening, pressing into the floor. As we hold here in this press, let's lift the right leg up and down a few times. Trunk doesn't move, so we're fully engaging all of our important stabilizer muscles. All right, we'll come back to starting. Let's walk the feet in a little closer to the bum. We'll move into some bridge poses. Arms are right at the sides. Zip up the core. Shoulder press, and then as one unit, let's lift the hips up into a bridge pose. Root down through the heels, engage inner thighs, hamstrings, glutes. Press the upper arms into the floor, tops of the shoulders into the floor. Top of the sternum bone presses towards the chin. Hold here. With the next exhale, as one unit, we lower back down. Take one breath. Then repeat. Zip up the core, shoulder press, hips lift into a full bridge pose. And lower back down. One last time. Zip up the core, shoulder press, hips lift into bridge. And lower back down. Now we'll take some toe taps here. First, go ahead and release the core. Take one breath. Now we zip the core up again. So toe taps, we lift one leg so that knee is directly over the hips, the shin is parallel to the floor, and then we lightly set it back down, barely touching. Back and forth, taking care to make sure that the pelvis isn't rocking, the trunk stays perfectly still. It's only the legs that are moving. Okay, once this becomes easy, then we reverse that, which means we start with the legs up bent and lifted. And instead of raising and lowering, we lower, barely touch down, and then raise back up. Again, one leg at a time. The spine stays neutral. The trunk does not move at all. So if you try this and you're arching your back too much or you feel like you're wobbling, go back to the first variation. In time, it will come. We've got just a few more. Once more on each side. And then release, take a breath here. Now let's zip up the core. Extend right arm, right leg. Reach it long and roll to the right side. Let the left arm and leg reach out as well. Side stretch. Then we'll move into some leg lifts. Now let the left heel lift so that the left toes and knee are slightly pointed down. This way the thigh is inner rotated slightly. Press the bottom leg into the floor. Start to lift the top leg. Nice and slow, lifting it as high as you can comfortably lift it, and then lowering it back down without actually touching down. So the heel leads the way so that we're sure to work the hip stabilizer muscles, the most important muscles around your hip. We'll do it 3 more times, nice and slow. And then the next time, just lift and hold it. And then slowly lower it back down. You can bring the legs so that the knees are bent just a bit. Let the feet lift off of the floor a couple of inches. We'll move into some clamshells. You can let your left hand touch down, or you can reach it up for just a little bit more of a challenge on the core and balance. So zip up the core. Press down onto the floor with the bottom leg, lift the top leg bent. Clamshells, opening and closing. Again, the movement is slow, it's intentional. The movement is initiated from the hip and the glutes. We're doing 10 of these. We've got 7, so we'll do 3 more. And you can let the knees come in just a bit more. Let the arms stretch out in front of you. You can let your head rest on the floor, or if that bothers your neck, if you have a blanket nearby, you could bring a blanket in and set your head on the blanket. We'll take an active twist here. So zip up the core. Bring that left arm up so it's towards the ceiling, and then turn to look over the left shoulder. And now use your upper back muscles here to initiate this next movement. Your arm just goes along for the ride. But hugging those upper back vertebrae, let's begin to open up slow and controlled into a twist. Again, it's not that the arm is just pulling the body into the twist. The upper back is actually initiating it. Once you're as far into the twist as your body allows, take a breath here. The back muscles stay engaged, they don't relax. And then as we come out of the twist, initiate it from the back as well. The arm just goes along for the ride until you can come palm to palm again. And then roll back onto your back. Pause for a breath here. We'll take some butterfly here, and so we let the soles of the feet come together, the knees come apart. So this isn't a relaxing butterfly. This is a core strengthener. So zip up the core and initiate the movements in this low, deep, transverse abdominal muscle here as you pull the legs together. So legs are just going along for the ride. It's this deep core muscle that's working here to slowly let the legs open and close. We're halfway there. We're doing 10. We've done 5. It's hard to resist the urge, I know, to let the inner thighs do the work, but you really just want to let the legs relax, make the deep, low core muscles work. One more. And then we'll let the feet be flat on the mat. Walk the feet in towards the bum. We're going into another set of bridges, arms at the sides. Zip up the core, shoulder press, lift the hips into a high bridge. So we're engaging the inner thighs, the hamstrings, the glutes. Upper arms are pressed into the mat. Tops of the shoulders pressed in, sternum bone pressed to the chin. Now, can you lift your pubic bone just a little higher? It's a tuck here. Should feel that more in the hamstrings and the glutes. Now release just that little tuck. And back into that tuck. And release. You may not even be able to see the motion in my body. It's so slight, but it's very subtle, but it's very deep work. If you just think of letting your pubic bone reach towards the ceiling, holding for a few counts, and then coming back to the regular bridge. One more. And then lower down. Pause for a breath. And then we'll take it to the left side. So extend that left arm and leg out. Roll onto your left side. I'm just going to turn around here so you don't have to watch my backside. So we've got that. We're extended, laying on that left side. Arms out, legs out. Core is zipped up. And then we'll move into our leg lifts. Okay, if you need to touch down, you can put the hand in front of you. Otherwise, try and keep the arm overhead. We lift just the right heel. So the toes and knee start to point down just a bit, so we're inner rotating that thigh. Press the bottom leg into the floor. Begin to lift the top leg slowly towards the ceiling. And then slowly lowering it down. And again. We'll do this 3 times, or I'm sorry, we'll do this 5 times. We were on our 3rd. And then we're going to lift and hold. Lift as high as you can. Keep pressing the bottom leg down as the top leg is lifting. Core stays zipped up. And then slowly lower back down. Now we can let the legs bend a bit. We lift the feet a few inches off of the floor, getting ready for clamshells. Let that right arm lift back up towards the ceiling. Zip up the core. And then we open and close, lifting and lowering the right leg, initiating the movement from the outer thigh, the glutes, a little bit on the hamstrings. Slow and controlled. We're not letting gravity or momentum help at all. Almost there. We've got, let's see, 2 more. Good. Now you can bring the knees up just a little more. Arms out forward. We'll get ready for that active twist. Head either laying on the mat, or you could pull a blanket underneath if you needed a little pillow. Raise the right arm so it's up towards the ceiling. Turn to look over the right shoulder. Now zip up the core. Use your upper back muscles to slow and controlled open up into this twist. Only go as far as you can manage. Hold. And then using those upper back muscles, come back out of the twist. Now, instead of releasing back onto our back, this time let's roll onto the belly. We'll let the arms stretch out overhead. Legs stretching out long as well. The legs coming in so that they're touching. Let's zip up the core. Press the hip creases into the mat. So your hip creases are probably a couple of inches below your hip points. Press that area into the floor. Start to slide the elbows in so that they are underneath your shoulders. Press the elbows down, lift through the crown of the head. Draw the sternum bone forward. Should feel a nice stretch on the front of the body while feeling the mid-back muscles work. And then on an exhale, let's stretch the arms out long again. Keep the core zipped up though, because with the next breath, we're going to pull the elbows back in. Forearms pressing into the floor, crown rising, sternum bone pulling forward. Enjoy this stretch. And then slide the right hand to where the elbow was, left hand to where the elbow was. Press in with the hands, draw the shoulder blades down and in, lifting a little higher. And then turn to look over your right shoulder. Okay, so you're contracting the right side waist and you're stretching the left side waist. And then come back to where we were. Then turn as if to look over your left shoulder. So contract the left side waist, stretching out the right. Coming back to where we started. Once more on each side. Looking over the shoulder to the right. And returning. Looking over the shoulder to the left. And returning. And then come back down onto the forearms. Stretch on out. From here, we'll move into an airplane pose. So we'll let the arms come out like a T, and you can leave them there if that's best for your upper back, or you can bring the arms a little more towards the feet. Shoulder blades in and down, core is zipped up. Let's lift the upper body. Hip creases press into the mat, keeping the pelvis stable, keeping the low back protected. One more breath here. And then on an exhale, we'll lower down. You can put one side of the face on the mat and just take a resting breath. Place the other side of the face on the mat for a resting breath. And then bring the head into a neutral position where it's not resting on the mat, but it's looking down at the mat. You're in a cervical retraction here, engaging the upper neck muscles. Press the hip creases into the floor. As one unit, let's lift both legs, utilizing the muscles of the glutes and the hamstrings to do so. So the legs stay straight here. Now, if you're good there, let's add the upper body as well. So we've got lower body lifting, upper body lifting, hip creases still press into the mat, core is definitely zipped up. With the next exhale, we'll lower the legs. We'll lower the hands and slide them in so that they are right underneath the armpits. And then press hands and knees so that we can come onto a tabletop position. Let's zip up the core. Let's extend right leg out long, flexing the foot, lifting at hip height. The left arm reaches out and up, shoulder height. And then on an exhale, we'll take a crunch, but we don't want to round the upper back. We just want to bring the knee and the elbow towards each other, but not touching. That way we avoid rounding the upper back, but we are definitely strongly engaging the lower abs. And then let's come back out. We'll do that 2 more times. Exhale, we bring elbow and knee towards each other and we hold. Then straighten the limbs 1 last time. Straightening and returning to the tabletop. Keep the core zipped up though. We'll send the left leg out long, right arm joins. Now you can stay right here, or you can add that crunch. It's a slow motion crunch. On an exhale, we draw it in, taking care to engage the lower abdominals, but not to let the upper back round. Extend the limbs back out. Crunch them back in. Extend them out. Crunch them back in. This is the last time here. Then extend them out. Return to tabletop. Take a breath here. Next, we'll move into a side plank. Now you can do a side plank on your forearm if you prefer, or you could do it on your hand. I'll demo it on the hand, but let's zip up the core. Okay, let's do a modified version one first. We'll just leave that left knee down, extend the right leg out, but the foot touching, and then sweep that right arm up towards the ceiling. Okay, so the left wrist is directly under that left shoulder for shoulder stability. Now, if you want to do the full side plank, just straighten that bottom leg as well. We're going to hold here for 3 breaths. Then either stay here or take 3 breaths with that top arm extended overhead. And then return through a full plank. Hold here. Of course, you could do this on your knees as well. Just 3 breaths. And then come back into tabletop. Let's take it to the second side. Zip up the core. Let's extend the left leg out and just take the modified version. We're on the right knee, left arm rising. If you're ready to do the full side plank version, make sure that you've got the wrist underneath the shoulder and then straighten out the bottom leg as well as the top. Just 3 breaths here. And then 3 breaths with the arm extended overhead. And then we come down into a full plank or a modified full plank with the knees touching down. 3 breaths here. And slowly lower the knees down. Shift the hips back just an inch or 2 behind the knees. Stretch the arms out forward. Let the forehead rest down into a puppy pose. And then walk the hands back into tabletop. And then from here, you could continue on with a stretching sequence. You could lay down and rest and consider this your full workout. Or if you want more, just start the video over and you can do another set and another set until you've had just the right intensity for you today. Thanks for joining me.